We're just gonna go ahead and Craigslist rebuild this. Craigslist rebuild. No specific reason on that. I don't know why I started with number 2. It just felt like the thing to do. Back on the Escort project. Starting to feel like a my summer car. I mean, with how junky my car is. So I got some things I got to do before I get started. We're not doing a hone on this, even though I'm putting new pistons in. We're going to just deglaze the cylinders because the car is, I mean, it's no special item. It's not like it's, you know, that. One of the things I got to clean out is my EGR and my intake manifold. There's still stray valve material distributed all over the place. I'll get you guys a little view here on the new quote head. They cleaned it up as good as they could. It's not pretty, but you know, as long as it works. So this is vacuum controlled, this EGR. I'm going to go ahead and activate it and, you know, spray it out with brake clean and just make sure there's no material in there. Wob! Action. Wob! Sure. A lot of valve seat material right there. It's probably number 3. When that intake valve seat failed, it left the intake valve completely open. But as the piston was going around, it was forcing material back into the plenum, and then the other ones would just, you know, take it. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure we get every bit of that out of here so we don't have any kind of similar repeat. Yeah, this thing requires lots and lots of service work here, cleaning. I might go get my borescope and put it down there, but the thing is, because of the rough casting of this part, it's going to be a little hard to tell what's material and what's casting, because like from where I'm standing here looking down in this light, everything kind of looks like the thing looks like it's beyond full of metal pieces, and really it's not, though there is some fine fiber in there, definitely some. Go up and down the whole thing, do this to all 4. All I can say is the worst that will happen is she burns oil. Now let's be honest, there are worse cars out there with much worse problems than just burning a little oil here and there.
Car's on fire.
Car's on fire. No, it's just a little oil.
When you're half-assing something, you want to take your time. I mean, I like to take my time. Most people, when they half-ass something, they're in a hurry. That's why they're half-assing it. I want to reiterate to the audience that this car right here that I'm working on is not the car behind my camera there. Remember, guy, it's not that car. It's this car. And look at this car. Buy an Escort. Yeah, look at that. It's pretty clean. Because I've done this once before. Kind of like cheating, huh? But not really, because I did the work once before. But it feels like cheating. Thank you, Past Michael. No problem, Michael. Always looking out for you. I know. So we got it. Increasing performance and clearing cat. Number 1. Little finger. That's quite a bit. Yeah, that's good. The arrow's pointing that way. That goes to towards the front of the engine, towards the water pump. Wait, I'm sending her down. It feels good now.
You all the way in? Good.
All right, ready?
Yeah. Let's keep going.
Close. We're on it. All right.
Beauty. Oh. Now, guys.
Worn out like my car.
I'm sure it's just a wire.
Okay, guys. We're not going to do a lot of filming down here because of how complicated it is, but we got number 1 here. Just going to put the connecting rod cap on there, like so. The bearings are in place. We're going to take a risk here. Look at that, it stayed. Okay. We're not going to do this for every single one because obviously it's a little bit redundant. And not that anyone else has to know about this, but we have 2 rods that say number 1. So this car's not going to have a number 3. It's going to have a 1, 2, 1, 4. But that's just going to be our little secret, okay? I don't think it'll matter. I don't think that'll be the Achilles heel. So I'm going to go ahead and torque to yield these. These get 26 pounds. And then you back them off a couple turns and then retorque them. On the crankshaft there's some debris. And clearly we're building a race car. Carl Shelby approved. Carl. You good?
A little more. Okay, right there. Stop.
Stopping.
Now get out of there.
Oh no. Very Ford approved. Brake clean from O'Reilly's.
Get that contaminated grease on.
And we'll start lubing up our next next piston and bearing here. And of course, you want to use good old assembly lube, right? Engine builder approved. It says it right there, and the E stands for engine builder. Right there. It's a race car, clearly. I mean, rally station wagon. It had the people that built this head done the right thing and not gave us the garbage valve seats, none of this would have been a problem.
You there?
Alright, hang on a second. Dropping her. Slow down.
Going down.
Oh, he's Cheech and Chong.
Easy, easy. A little bit difficult.
There we go. I felt it.
You saw it. Yeah, there's another tight spot right there. Nice. So you can leave the exhaust pipe in for your convenience. Check that one again. Now the really difficult one, hardest of them all. In this case, I need to locate the crank a little bit. Maybe not. Hang on.
There's just a slight chunk in it.
Sump. We had to clear this out. There was debris in it, so it's a good thing we took it off. Sure is getting nice out. Right. I'll bet you if we had to work on this car in the gravel, like I always do, it'd be raining. I just have that feeling, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy in. Looks like it's pretty idiot-proof. There's a little cutout for the oil dipstick there, so it can only go one way. We'll take redundancy. We're going to go ahead and seal this right here.
Yep.
Where the aluminum and the iron meet. I know some people are going to laugh, but I had this from the Blaster project, and it's still good, because that was only about a half a year back. It still opens, so. And you know what? It says it can do this, okay? Resist high heat, oil, surfaces, you know, Yamaha bond. So the car will have some Yamaha in it, you know?
And with that side as well.
There's one over in this ratchet.
Just a little bit in those same spots, so you get a good transfer
It got a little messy with some of that. We can clean that up though.
Dad is working on the engine mount. Speaking of which, mine is the one from the accident is pretty horrendous. So that's why we went and put a new mount in. Guess we can make this a multi-clip, eh? There's the new mount.
So I have, I need a, I think it's a 14.
14. The reason we're replacing that is because the original one, I don't know if you can tell, maybe you can tell, but that ain't right. It's supposed to be a little more circular than that. Yeah, so that was a result of the first incident with this car, the log, blown radiator, blown window, blown airbags, original reason that this car overheated, and to this day it continues to haunt us. Yeah, you see that? Same log. Same log did that. They always have a hey stupid nub on them. You see what I mean? They always have a hey stupid. Hey, stupid. Hey. Hey.
It's mine now.
Just gotta sand it. There you go. Alright. Do the same thing we did with the oil pan. We'll get them all about halfway there, and then we'll go back around and torque them all. Here. We're down on the ground. Set up top dead center here. We're close, really close. Forgot how short this car is. It's been up in the air for so long. Got our head all bolted, plenum to head here. And we're just doing a final clean, both surfaces.
Part of it over the top of it all.
There you go.
Otherwise you get no oil. And of course, just take your time. Just wait.
Okay. This side just dropped in. There we go. It doesn't look like it's lifted.
Looks right. Not enough to flood. So strange how you torque them down, take it off, so you stretch those ends once, torque it again, thus stretching the threads twice,
Yeah.
and then 90 and 90 one more time, thus really stretching the threads. Okay, so, you know, harder than open heart surgery because of all hoses and things that kind of bound you up.
Yeah, I think the dipstick tube was the culprit.
Yeah, but we're down. That's the wrong one. Just make sure that's all. Clearly we want this in the way. It really helps having cords in the way. Helps keep me calm. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know what you're doing there, but...
Hey, you know, it was a free tripod.
Okay, so for those of you who have never torqued a head down, it's a lot of doing the exact same thing over and over and over again, but it's not the exact same thing. First we put the bolts in, we torque them to one spec, then we back them off, then we go back over the sequence again, torquing them to the same spec, then we torque them to the next higher spec, and then we do 2 turns of 90 in the same star pattern sequencing. It's all very repetitive. We've gone ahead and back turned them all, and then I've torqued them all again to 30 and 44, and now we're at the phase of doing 180 degrees more in 2 steps of 90. So now we're going by the clock instead of the poundage.
How does it?
Almost there. That feels so scary and wrong.
That's 90 degrees.
Made a sound at me. I heard a stretching bolt, which is what they're supposed to do. Yep. That one went easy. 5. That one felt good. And then of course
So now you're going off,
the clock. We're gonna use a breaker bar. Finish last step. Let's do the right. Let's do right by our car this time. Jesus is king.
I think if you can't get it quite, it's okay.
We're gonna call that good enough.
Right.
Cause that, you know what I mean? I mean, when you consider how we did it the last time.
Yeah, we had a couple that tightened up.
Just like this.
We couldn't do it. Yeah, we couldn't go any further. That one looked good. Anything? Well, she stopped, I thought. I thought I seen her stop by the mailbox. Nothing in there, huh?
Felt good. Felt really tight. The only one that actually looked like it actually did 90. Right?
You're doing good. I don't want to say too much right now.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of biting my lip.
Damn it. Why are we in between? Fine. Don't mind doing the thing, just don't like breaking stuff. Okay, well, that is a torqued head. So, we made it this far. It's dark outside, food is on the grill. We're probably going to take a break and
Pick up spark plugs, engine oil,
yep,
and antifreeze.
things I didn't even think about until right now. So that's a big battle on this project completed, but we still have all the accessories to plug back in, and that's a whole nother battle. And then we got to cross our fingers and hope she starts. Guess we could plug those in too while we're here. I don't see why not. These guys are a pain to disconnect when they've been out in the weather and heat, hot and cold cycles. There we go. I want to make sure it sits. And there's also, of course, one on the other side. We're not going to forget. There's one over here. It's got 2. This is the one that fought me because there's a little bit of rust on it. I don't know if I care. I should probably address that. If it leaks, it leaks. We'll address it then. Alright. We'll go ahead and get this guy on. Put a little bead of this stuff, and I'll take a popsicle stick and just kind of spread it around. And we'll do the same thing to the engine block. Yeah. Alright, it's a little messy. I might take a popsicle stick over that real quick. Of course. Everything nice, tight, and in the way. And always make sure your thermostat's in the right direction, which I already did. Otherwise the car will run cold and it'll never get warm. Should be clicking. There it is. Yeah, it don't take much on these.
Yeah, you don't want to snap.
We're going to put the EGR tube in place. Right now we're slipping it underneath everything while we've got all this stuff undone on this end here. Got a new gasket ready to go. Our 2 bolts are up here. So I'll just kind of finagle that in place. 10 millimeters. There are, as most people would know, an awful lot of lines that go to places. A lot of little things to accidentally forget. Got that guy in. There's these 2 tubes back here. They're pretty obvious. They can only go in since the fittings stayed to each hose. We know that goes there. We know this goes to the other one, because I kind of pulled them off in that way. That way we didn't have any kind of confusion. Went ahead and ran it underneath. Okay. There you go. What's nice about working on a car that we took apart is even though there's a lot here, it's all pretty naturally there. It gets difficult when you get to those re-engineering situations where people have decided to change things and then the car has been sitting and there's wires everywhere. That's when it's a nightmare. In this case, most of these are a specific shape. They're not going to go anywhere but where they go. So that's the nice thing about when it's all factory. One thing that I will say that is apparent about Escorts, especially this generation, is everything on the thermostat housing side of the engine, which is technically the back side, even though, you know, it's the driver's side because the engine's in sideways. Everything on that side of the engine is real easy to get to. Doing a thermostat change and putting the thermostat housing back on, changing out the coil pack, all that stuff's real easy to do. You just have to take the air cleaner out of the way, air filter housing, and there you go. Everything on the timing belt side of this engine, however, is a real pain to get to. That involves jacking the engine up and doing all kinds of ridiculous things, and you barely have any room. And since my car's been in a slight accident in the front, the frame is a little closer to areas than it's supposed to be, which makes it even harder to get to things. There's a lot of up and down, and it becomes pretty apparent that I skipped a lot of the work on camera because it was just getting too dang frustrating and taking so damn long that I decided it was not really worth filming at all and going through all the editing at that. Goes without saying that the timing belt is always a wrestle. We already got ours tightened up. Got this snug to 15, now we're going to 20. Don't want to cause any, there we go, right there. I'll go ahead and get that cover back on. 3 nuts, 2 bolts, a couple studs.
Important note, make sure your shorter thread goes into the
Block. We're pretty sure on that, right?
Yeah, we're sure. It's nice, easy, hand tight. No torque on this.
Oh, I'm sure there is. It's probably hilariously low. 6 pounds too, but you know, whatever. That guy down there is always difficult to tighten. I got the neighbor right there. Of course, I'm not aiming at what I'm talking about. There we go. Right there. Don't want to forget this. Metal retainer off. I'll just put that one back down. As we might as well. We have it, right? I don't need your input. There you go. Put this little retainer guy back down. And we'll go get that manifold and start putting our studs in. Also going to get an EGR gasket and tube mounted to the manifold. Just starting to get it all in here. Anyone that's ever replaced the alternator on these cars knows that they're kind of a pain to get in and out. There's only one specific way they're going to fit in. It's really tight, and you also want to connect all your wires up before you actually send the bolt through and marry it home to the bracketry. Only get so much flex. In fact, I can't even really do anything on the AC line. There you go. There you go. I also found a really good place to run your alternator whip wiring through. If you run it right through the engine hoist point, it seems to serve as a really good place to just keep the wiring where it belongs. Okay, dampener in place. And we even got a new one down there. Of course, I think we already talked about that earlier. This guy is nice and secure too. I'll get that bracketry that's missing there. I'll get that on there.
Do you want to put that on before your radiator goes in?
You know, I don't know if it'll be in the way. I'll just get it over here real quick and we'll just loose it in for right this moment. Can't forget the dampener. Almost did. Finally starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, but there's always little things that you sort of tend to neglect to remember. Alright everyone, we're almost to the time. I gotta get my battery, plug in my wires here, valve cover. I'm gonna take that oil filter off. I know, but we're only gonna be doing 500 miles. Why buy the good stuff? Just, you know, it'll work. Well, I'm not gonna buy a nice Motorcraft filter for 12 bucks just to throw it away in 500 miles. I mean, come on now, let's save $6. I could use that $6 for 40 miles. And these things get good gas mileage when they run right? This is one thing I do not like about Fords. This filter. And I know that this engine may be a Mazda engine, but it's the same on my Ranger. And my 3.0 V6 in the Ranger is a Ford engine, though the transmission is a Mazda transmission. But anyway, I hate the placement of the oil filter. I really do. Something about putting the filter sideways into the engine block just raises a lot of questions to me. Like, how much of an asshole do you have to be? I don't know if it's a cost-cutting measure, if it's an oil pressure measure, or if it's just a space issue. There seems to be enough space there, though, to have a vertical spigot. Saying you unscrew that, oil goes everywhere. I'm going to be honest with you, the good people at General Motors are nice enough, and most of you don't need a demonstration, but I don't feature my Oldsmobile enough in any of my videos, so see that down there? It's not perfectly flat, but you're much less likely to drip oil all over the engine, the exhaust components, things like that, because they mounted the filter like an intelligent person would. But over here, no, we're all stupid, and we put it in stupidly. And this way you get oil all over everything back here, and then when you start the car up, it smells like a sorry piece of crap. It smells like oil is burning, because it is. And it comes into the cab when you turn your vents on. It takes a couple 100 miles for it to go away. And don't get me wrong, I like Escort, this car. I like the Escort. It's a great little vehicle, you know. Great gas mileage and fun to drive. Manual transmission really helps with the fun factor. But that right there is stupid. And my Ranger, same situation. 3.0 V6, filter goes on the side. Dumb. I know the joke about Frams, but I will say this. It's kind of, whoa, okay. It's kind of nice that it has this little rubber dipped grippy. That's kind of nice. There's always extra hoses. Always. Very specific reason we went with this oil. No. This is the only one that wasn't full synthetic. See guys, I told you we were only halfway there. Remember that? Remember being halfway there? Yeah. here's the other half right here. So I wasn't lying to you. We were only halfway there. And now we're halfway done. Wait, all the way done. The other half. Okay, we're at the moment. We're plugged up. Ignition ran. Coolant topped.
Tools out.
Here we go. Okay. There's no worse feeling than working on a car for days on end and you get it all together and it doesn't start. Rather than
You gotta
do
get
the
some
adventure
oil
slowly
pumped up.
with
You gotta get
trying to figure out what went wrong.
you know, the
I figured
gas,
I'd
the
just
fuel
summarize
to
this,
you know.
because it took And a it couple could be days for us to fuel. figure it out. The first thing we did was go over our wire harness and check all of
give it
our
another shot.
connections. Well, that battery was sounding
I thought
pretty helpless.
Well, I
we
could
went
throw
over
the
everything that had been
charger
disturbed.
I think we're going to need to.
Or everything that I know we took off and put back on.
Okay.
And everything seemed to be connected fine. The next thing we did was test power at the coil and see what it was doing. The first thing we noticed was that it wasn't getting any kind of spark signal, but that when we took the coil off and tested it separately, both sides of the coil seemed to have continuity.
Spaceship
We weren't
parts
totally sure at this
reinstalled.
point if the coil was good, so we went to O'Reilly's and bought a new one and put it on just to see what it would do. It did nothing. No spark.
First thing we're going to do
So
is
I
make
went
sure the
back to
injectors don't
O'Reilly's
leak.
and got my coil back and put the original one back on the car. The next thing we did was replace the crank sensor. There was a bit of coolant that got splashed on top of the engine block on accident, and I figured that maybe it was possible that some of it landed on the sensor and screwed it up. Highly unlikely, but we might as well give it a try. So we spent the better part of a couple hours taking apart everything we had just did to get to that sensor. It's a real pain. And we went ahead and put another one on. Turned the car over. No start. Now at this point we're getting pretty desperate, pretty defeated, and the last thing that we figured it could be is maybe the computer just died. Maybe something happened and it got shocked. So I spent the better part of a day taking the console out and getting the computer out.
They're coming to take me away. They're coming to take me away. To the happy home. And for those of you watching for advice, throw the car away. Hey, I've been looking for these.
Honestly, the console comes out pretty easy on this car, but getting the computer out of that space is a little bit difficult. I went to O'Reilly's, got another one on order. They didn't have it right away. It was going to take a day to get there, so we had to wait a whole day hoping and praying. We get the new part, we put it in, and of course, the car sort of sputters. But no start. So at this point, we knew it wasn't the computer. I went back to O'Reilly's and got my original core back, just in case the one they sold me wasn't quite right or something of the nature. But figuring that there's nothing wrong with the original core computer, might as well just have it on the shelf. So at this point, we're without a clue as to what it could be, and we decided to start tracing leads directly on the wiring harness. We had a very strange symptom that we had found as we were testing over our connections again and doing all kinds of continuity repeats, and that's that we noticed that only 2 of the 4 cylinders were sparking, so half of the coil was receiving spark.
Now we're going to see if we have it on. One of them didn't have it, 2 didn't have it, so we're going to see if 4 does, right? Or 3, whatever. We're going to see if half the coil's working and half ain't.
Yeah, okay, 4's working,
And 3 ain't.
3 is not.
So-
2 and 3 are not
Sparking.
Spark, and those are on the same coil line.
While tracing one of those leads, I had to remove a plug, and I had noticed that when I pulled up on the plug, I didn't actually have to do any kind of depressing of any clips like you normally would. That's when it kind of dawned on me that the plug I had just pulled up wasn't actually plugged in.
And there is continuity through this harness. But I noticed when I pulled this up that I didn't have to depress anything, and I think you're supposed to. Pretty sure you're supposed to push that in. So when I put this back down, after we pulled it, it made a solid click, and I can't pull it up. It's very possible that that was not fully secured.
I can't say I understand why this plug was unplugged, because I know that I hadn't done it, and I know that my dad hadn't done it, We had no reason to touch this area, but it just goes to show you that when you think that something has failed, just check again, because weird things happen. Them gremlins, man, I swear.
We have all 4 now. Why am I shaking my head? Because I bought a computer and installed it. Probably don't need it. Well, it was only if
Chocolate.
if you run, I'm okay with eating another $100. Whatever.
You know what the class would have cost you to learn?
To learn this mistake?
Yes.
I'm okay with eating the cost and still having the original computer. That's fine. Oh my God. It's idling a little high, but
That's what, because I think we have it in the wrong one.
probably.
It's in the wrong one.
Well, shit.
Not a big deal. Turn it off and fix that.
Why, baby? Why? The wiring clip was, the jack was loose.
All your computer, sensors, all that shit. You didn't need to buy any of it.
No.
Well, you didn't need to buy it. What? Shit happens.
Well, I got a car with 2 new sensors and a brand new computer, and I don't need any of them.
Right, yeah, you got the extra parts, so put them away.
There's a little bit of oil. I don't really.
Yeah, it needs to run.
Yeah,
So,
I kind of feel bad cutting it off.
Let's fix that problem.
Alright, so we took it out of race mode there. And go ahead and.
I don't know if it was up to her.
I'm sure. We're
Tell
neutral.
me if the gas pedal feels okay.
Seems alright. Sure! Now she's in economy mode. That saves you fuel. Oh my God. Sounds good. I don't hear any alarmingly scary sounds. She's gonna be a little stinky back here, but actually it doesn't even really smoke back here. Wow. Wow. Okay, so the lesson learned today. Make sure that is down. Somehow it got up. I don't know how. But that'll screw with your ignition. Yeah. Wait, I'm not. Down right. Either way.
Might have more power than you've had before.
Keep
Go into town and stop at Barry's?
Yeah,
I don't know if
you want to
want.
trust it.
What?
You want to trust it.
Well, gotta run it.
It's true. I bet them rings. It's feels good. Doesn't feel like she's stuttering anyway.
Not at all. Bottom line, that's we achieved it.
This
We're now
frickin' thing.
experienced
Escort mechanics.
escort mechanics.
Is Barry even still open? I don't know. Can't make this up. So I ordered a Felpro gasket kit because I didn't know my mechanic was going to go ahead and, or my machinist was going to go ahead and get those parts for me. He quoted that in my $750 price, which is pretty cool. That's actually a really good deal, including the gasket kit with everything. Well, I didn't know. So naturally, I bought one, right? And that is my kit right there in that UPS truck. I get the car running. And I guess it's a good thing I got the kit from my machinist earlier because we would have been waiting. Like, we wouldn't have got started rebuilding this engine until today. Now I gotta go ahead and send it back, of course. And what sucks about that is restock fee, shipping fee, you know how it goes. But anyway, whatever. I'm happy the car works, so. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Happy ending. Here's to more adventures, right? More camping trips, more dings and dents, I guess. Hopefully not. I'm kind of tired of this car getting beat up. Keep your valve seats. Keep your valve seats. Don't overheat. Stick with us. One last little thing to add. I refused the package because I guess that was an option. So maybe I don't have to deal with the revamping the label and getting charged for it. So that's cool. Things are working out. After a really crappy start to the year, maybe our luck is finally turning around. Anyway, thanks for watching.